Today I want to give some comments on the topic healing and sexuality. This is coming about because a friend of mine who's an editor of a Buddhist journal in Austria invited me a couple weeks ago, asked me if he could take a clip from my documentary called The Sacred Prostitute, which includes a Tibetan Buddhist Lama, and to put this as a part of the journal, because they do some other video clips. And then when he sent back and I approved what his editing had been, he said, oh, by the way, would you also write a little essay on healing and sexuality? And we keep it down to about a page and a half. Well, the topic of healing and sexuality to me seems like a whole book. And I am working on a book called The Sexual Shaman, which is not so much on healing per se as on couples, lovers, to how to use shamanic practices with each other to enhance their lovemaking as well as their shamanic growth. And so I thought I would just go ahead and look at some ideas here and comment on this in this video piece. And he said to call it Healing and Sexuality, and then the topics to cover would be: how does it function? What does it mean? Who does it? And why are people doing it? Of course, the first thing that came to my mind was Marvin Gaye's awesome song from the, I guess the 1980s, maybe 70s, entitled Sexual Healing. If you're not familiar with that song, look it up. It's just a real, it makes you want to dance. Anyway, this is not a dancing event. This is some ideas about writing. So first, let's look at what does it mean, healing and sexuality. We have to look at two terms, healing and sexuality. Sexuality, I think we have generally four different models. A general idea, what is our sexual nature? One is procreation. Another we could call romantic love, which includes companionship. Another model we have of what sexuality is we could call it sexual pleasure, and that clearly is the predominant model in our culture today in the Western world. But there's been also evolving a fourth model, which has been in existence forever, of what sexuality is. And that I call the sexual energy merging model of sexuality. As we brought in perspectives of Taoism and Tantric, whether it be from Hinduism or Buddhism, there's more of a focus on energetic interaction, energetic effects in this thing that we call sexuality. So for me to understand healing and sexuality, I need to really focus on this part of this idea of sexuality that we would call sexual energy merging. At least that's how I've chosen to call it. And so right now when I'm thinking about sexuality, I'm really focusing on the energetic aspect of interaction between people in a sexual way. Now the word healing is the term that I prefer not to use. Healing in relationship to sexuality. We for a long time have attempted to justify sexuality as okay if a practitioner or an individual is helping to heal another person. Pleasure in and of itself is totally fine. But healing seems to make it more legitimate, more legal, and I think that's really a limited approach. And I prefer the word transformation, which I define as a change in a structure or the functioning of the structure. And so transformation to me includes what we call healing, because sometimes these structures or functions of structures are dysfunctional, diseased, not up to par, sluggish. So there can be a healing factor, but transformation for me also includes the idea of growth or wellness. We're already doing well, and we want to do weller, better, more effective, more powerful, more meaningful, more pleasurable. So we don't have to start from the idea that you have to be sick to grow, to be involved with your sexuality. you can be in a very healthy place and use it or expand your sexual expression to be even more profound. So for me, I will use the word healing and sexuality here, but I really think in terms of transformation. Okay, how does it function? This idea of healing and sexuality. And my answer to that is has come from observing shamans doing what they do with their healing. For me, the transformational process sort of involves 4 aspects. One is, if you want to have a change in the structure or the function of the structure, you have to clear the energies. The energies have to be flowing optimally. If we have log jams in the river cannot flow. And it can't really do what it usually does. So there has to be a clearing process of opening up, of energies flowing optimally. We also need to have a balancing of energies, as well as an intensification of energies. And then the 4th aspect of this would be the actual changing of the energetic pattern. So healing or transformation, for me, involves clearing of limited energies or restricted energies or stuck energies, balancing of energies, intensification of energies, and change, and then finally is the change in energetic patterns. Now, well, how does that relate to sexuality? It relates primarily in the orgasmic part of the sexual expression. What happens in orgasm, my observation, is that when a person has an orgasm and another person is in that person's energy field, that when the person having the orgasm, their energies light up, brighten up, intensify. And the energies between the 2 people or more people literally merge together for temporarily to become one energetic structurally, temporarily, during the orgasmic part. And the key idea here is there is a merging. When there is a merging of energies, what happens naturally is a clearing of restricted energies, particularly, a balancing of energies and intensifications of energies. So the concept here is to understand the healing and transformational processes, to understand the energies merging, one person's energies and another person's energies merging together. I don't mean just interacting, but I mean literally becoming one energetic system. I'm using the word merging in a very particular way now. That when energies merge, that there is a natural healing taking place. There is a natural transformative process taking place. And so, I mean, now, of course, having a good time with someone, feeling good sensations, that's all good. I mean, now we can have a change in attitude, a change in belief, a change in behavior pattern. Those are not necessarily transformations. Transformations are much more of the underlying structure, changing the structure. The structure somehow is changing, or how it functions changes. You know, if, for example, this is a perfect example, an alcoholic finds religion and stops drinking alcohol, but the other addiction now is in a religious expression. There's no real transformation, simply a change in behavior pattern. Now, I don't want to say that one cannot go from alcoholism to a religious expression that is transformation. It too often looks too much like really just a change in behavior. In other words, instead of alcohol in a bottle, you now have religion in a bottle. And I don't mean to be picking on religion, but that's sort of a real typical example. A real transformation means that addictive or whatever is really dysfunctional is eliminated because the underlying pattern has changed, so that, in a sense, the need is no longer there. So, in a sense, sexual healing can take place to some extent with having a good expression, feeling good about oneself, making love, feeling good. But the real energetic, powerful, transformative part is more likely to happen during the orgasmic process. Whether it be one or both together doesn't make any difference. If one person is having an orgasm, they light up, they merge with the person in their energetic field, and the other person gets the benefit as well. It may not be the same sensations, may not be psychologically the same, but from an energetic point of view, both benefit. And that is how sexuality, particularly, can facilitate healing. Now, it's powerful, but it's not the same thing as a masterful shaman who has learned to, with his energies or her energies, to merge with another person or a group of people, where it's done outside of a sexual expression in terms of like genital or sexual orgasm context, but still the merging is taking place. So sexuality, a sexual orgasm, is not the only place in which transformation or healing takes place, but it is one of the places that's available to many of us. And so when I look at the concept of sexuality and healing, I really need to look at the concept of orgasm to see this is when and how and where it really takes place primarily.